All right, family, and welcome back to another session of our Black Poli Sci 101. Happy to be here. Thank you all for joining us this evening. And we're going to jump right into it in a hot second. And of course, I have with me none other than Sister Inez Barron, all right, who is going to be the presenter for today for this. This is actually class number 4 for our Black Poli Sci 101 sessions. All right. And the theme for today, once again, it's the second follow up. All right. And the theme for today is going to be, once again, education for Black liberation. Thank you for joining us, Sister Inez.
Thank you for having me.
All right. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right, family. So with that being said, I'm gonna start off real quick. I'm gonna do a quick housekeeping just to knock that out, get that out the way. And then we're gonna jump right into it this evening, family. Give thanks. All right. So let me share my screen and let's get the housekeeping out the way real quick, and let's get the ball rolling. All right, get some of this good energy and information. All right. So let me share my screen here. And here it is here. Okay, boom. All right, excellent. All right, family. So as you see here, I just want to give a quick couple disclaimers and give our fair use notice. All right, the views and opinions expressed in the media or comments on this channel are those of the speakers or authors and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel broadcaster. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. This channel owner claims no copyright to said content. The broadcast of this channel cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. The broadcast of this channel is a messenger and share of information and strive to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy or copyrights or completeness of the information on this channel. If you have a complaint about something or find your content is being used incorrectly, please contact the broadcaster applying to make a copyright claim. Any infringement was not done on purpose and will be rectified to all parties' satisfaction. Let me jump to the fair use notice. All right, fair use notice, and that is in accordance with Title 17 UFC Section 107. All right, so the information presented here is for educational information purposes solely. All right, let me stop my screen share there. Okay, now once again, family, we have with us uh, our sister, educator, activist, and former radical politician, Sister Inez Barron.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and honor to be joining you for part two of what we're going to be looking at education for Black liberation.
All right, excellent, excellent. All right, family. So with that, matter of fact, let me. I just want to, for those who may not have tuned into our first uh, part one, our first presentation with you, if you could just give a kind of a brief introduction, to yourself. So just let the listening audience know who you are, where you're coming from, and what is some of your fundamental backgrounds.
Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Inez Barron, and I am the co founder of Operation Power. And we are an organization that is located in the East New York section of Brooklyn. We began in 1997. We were involved with fighting an issue for one of the contractors in the area wanting to use his factory to become a wood burning incinerator to produce energy to sell to Con Ed. We mobilized the community, we had a lawyer go through the books and find some remote, old, but still current legislation, which we were able to present, which kept that incinerator from coming into our community. So we were organizing in that regard. We had coalitions of the block associations and churches and other social organizations in our community, and that's how we became successful. In terms of my background, I grew up in public housing, lived there for most of my young childhood. I did go through the public school system. I attended Hunter College, which is a part of the city university. And I was only able to go because there was no tuition. It was tuition free. If you graduated from a city school, high school, and you had a B average or better, you were entitled to go to the college of your choice within the city university system. I chose Hunter. I went there. I got my bachelor's degree in physiology, and went afterwards to Bank Street College of Education, where I got my degree, my master's in education and reading. So that's my background. I've been involved in the struggle for our rights since I was about 13. A friend of mine grabbed me by the hand and said, "Come on, we're going downtown Brooklyn to demonstrate and support the efforts of our brothers and sisters in the South." And that's how I became involved. I was always in the masses and did not go into the leadership in terms of the struggle until I did run for the Assembly, New York State Assembly, and I was successful. And following that, I followed my husband, who had been in the city council and was term limited out of New York City Council. I ran for his seat, I got it. He ran for my seat in the Assembly, he got that seat. And then when my term was up, he ran again for City Council and was successful, and did leave the city council about 2 years ago. We've been very much involved in fighting for our people. We understand that we cannot legislate our way to our freedom, but we're
Mm.
going to use that system. We're going to use that political system to bring resources to our community. So we're pleased to say that during the time that we were in office for about 21 years, we were able to bring in thousands of jobs. We were able to bring in tens of thousands of units of housing, affordable to the people who live there. We don't just say affordable. Affordable is like a dangling participle. It depends on who's using the term and how they describe it. We were able to bring housing affordable to the people who presently live here. Our section that we represented is not gentrified. We had new schools built, we had new libraries constructed, so much that we've done, had a health center reconstructed, and just were able to bring the resources to our community.
All right. Excellent, excellent. And thank you for that information. Thank you for joining us once again, Sister Inez. And my apologies, I neglected to introduce myself. For all those who don't know, I'm Brother Lumumba Uncaged. I'll be your moderator and co-host for this evening. And of course, I have with me the host with the most, the founder and architect of the Million Woman March Universal Movements, Sister Empress Chi, aka Dr. Felicia Nasu.
All right. Thank you, Brother Moon. But hey, my sister
Greetings, how are
Inez.
you?
Yes, wonderful. I just saw your husband a little while
I
ago.
heard. Had a big event out there in Philly, right?
Yeah. So, family, that's where I was. I'm going back. And maybe I can even get there before we close out tonight, just so you all can kind of get a glimpse of what's going on, because there is a 24-hour marathon to free Mumia Abu Jamal. So, give you a little report on that a little later on. But we want to get back to Sister Inez, because, again, we only have roughly an hour or so now, and we want to get this thing moving. Brother Mumba, did you have a specific topic, or because we know we're talking about Black education for Black liberation, but was
Yes.
there a specific thing that you wanted to ask Sister Inez about?
Yes. We did a little pre-production, so we have a nice little lineup. I actually have a few video clips that pertains to some of the subject matter that we wanted to discuss for this evening, and then we're going to get some feedback from Sister Inez based on those clips, and then she can get into a greater presentation based on that as we continue in the evening.
Okay, and so because I'm getting ready to head back over to the rally, I'm going to kind of be in and out. I mean, I'm here, I'm listening, and so, but I want to say to Sister Inez again, thank you for joining us, and
My
really
pleasure.
helping us with this process because we're going to make it happen here in Philly and on a national level. We're going to make some advancements in what we need to do politically. So thank you again, for being a part of this poli-sci, Black Poli-sci
Thank
101.
you.
Now,
Thank you.
lastly, my question is, yeah, my question is going to be when the time comes and we're ready to answer that, and that is your thoughts about the development of an independent political party or parties. So just keep that in mind because I want to come back to that later.
Great. Okay.
All
Right.
right, thank
Excellent.
you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Give thanks. Thank you for that addition, Sister Empress. All right. So let me come to my first clip for the evening. And this is an oldie but a goodie, as they say. All right. So let me get ready to share my screen and we can get some of the wisdom from our sister Inez. All right. Let me share my screen here. Okay. And where is it at? Here it is here. Great. Okay, boom. All right, share. And that should be pulling up. Hopefully that came up the way it should. Okay. Can everyone see my screen there?
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Yes.
excellent, excellent. All right. Let me just pull it up a little bit further. All right. So, and this is a short clip from our ancestor, the late great Malcolm El Haj Malik El Shabazz. All right, so let's get to this clip really quickly, family, and then get some feedback from our sister on this subject matter. And that is the importance of women's education.
One thing that I became aware of in my traveling recently through Africa and the Middle East, in every country that you go to, usually the degree of progress can never be separated from the woman. If you're in a country that's progressive, the woman is progressive. If you're in a country that reflects a consciousness toward the importance of education, it's because the woman is aware of the importance of education. But in every backward country, you'll find the women are backward. And in every country where education is not stressed, it's because the women don't have education. So one of the things I became thoroughly convinced of in my recent travels is the importance of giving freedom to the woman, giving her education, and giving her the incentive to get out there and put that same spirit and understanding in the children. And I frankly am proud of the contribution that our women have made in the struggle for freedom. And I'm one person who's for giving them all of the leeway possible because they've made a greater contribution than many of us men. And one of the best ways that they can help is to encourage the man, try and inspire him to be more militant and turn him away from being non-violent and passive and meek and Uncle Tomish. Make him aware that the black woman wants to see her man be a man instead of around here using religion as an excuse to be a coward and some of the things that he's been reflecting here lately.
Freedom by any means necessary was the battle slogan of Malcolm X, for he knew that in America, the condition of the vast majority of the 22 million black people is very close to the condition of 11 million Africans under the fascist South African regime.
All right, all right. Let me stop my screen share there. Okay.
Ooh, love
All
it.
right. Shout out to our ancestors. And one of the things I noticed really quickly in the background, I just noticed it on this play, was that in the background on the wall was actually a picture of ancestor Patrice Lumumba.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So with that, let me come to Sister Inez. And what's your thoughts, opinions on this fact, on this presentation by our dear brother, the shining black prince, ancestor Malcolm El Haj Malik El Shabazz?
As always, Brother Malcolm related to the people. He spoke the language of the people. He studied the dictionary and was very adept at using the language, the terms that people could relate to. And now when we spoke last week, we talked about basically the mother being the first teacher, being the one who first introduced a child to the world, to the culture, to the society, to the family, and to what their skills and capabilities are. So we talked about that briefly. And as we know, this society has taken education and marginalized us or eliminated us as Blacks and the contributions that we have made. They have made us the object of education, but as has been said, not the subject.
Mm.
Meaning, it's not from our perspective, but what was done to us, not what we ourselves were active with. So it's the mother who oftentimes has that first ability, the woman, the auntie, the grandmother, who has that a capability and that responsibility of shaping our children's minds. Now, the education system, the education of the oppressor, is not designed to liberate the oppressed. We know that we cannot depend on that formal education system to have us gather what we need to develop ourselves and to have that sense of self-confidence by seeing ourselves in the textbook, in the history, to know what it is that our ancestors have contributed to this society. So we've got to allow ourselves to hear those messages, be at the feet of our ancestors, our mothers, and hearing them tell the stories and keeping that fresh, bringing that to our mind so that we know that the story of what it is that their own family did in their history, what were the contributions that were made. Malcolm also talks about the fact that so much of the religion that has been bastardized by the European countries and made to appear, made to deliver an image of Jesus as very passive and, of course, white, has been an image that many people have embraced. And so we've got to make sure that we get to the reality of what is the history, looking at the region and the area where he lived and what the work was that he done, what the work that he did during that time, and the revolutionary spirit, the radical attempts and activities of the Jesus that is the Jesus of the Bible. And I'm a member of the Shrine of the Black Madonna, and we have the message from Jeramogi Baby Ajaman, who says we've got to get those European images out of our mind. We've got to look at the history. We've got to know our own self-worth. We've got to develop what it is our skills and abilities are. We've got to encourage each other, and we've got to come together as a collective. Malcolm also in that piece talked about the woman encouraging the brother, the man, the husband, the uncle to go out and to stand up. Now, we know that the tragedy and the horror of slavery was that the Black man was emasculated. The Black man was tortured. The Black man was in so many ways brutalized. And it was done in a public setting to try to introduce that fear and to try to make the Black man passive. So we've got to understand that's a part of our history, a part of what was done to us, and understand also that the Black man is a threat. This system will more readily accept a female in a role as opposed to a Black man in a role. So we've got to be mindful of that. Malcolm says we got to encourage our brothers and push them forward. And I believe that that's something that's so true. There was a woman who was my Sunday school teacher. And the church at that time was, the church that we attended was sort of, run of the mill. They knew Christ was Black, but they weren't revolutionary. And this was back in 1970, during the movement getting really fired up. Many years later, she saw me and she said, Inez, I never understood why you were so involved and so radical. She said, but I understand now. She had a poem which she said, Black man, don't you know you are a threat? And she listed all the things that the Black man has done. We talk about those Blacks in our history who were sojourners, who went out, who were fighters, who were in the lead of making way, making waves and setting organizations. And it was always a Black woman that was in the background, in the back, doing a lot of the hard work, the day-to-day work, but being supportive. And I think it's very important that we understand that that's critical. We've got to make sure that our family units and our organizations value the work of women and have that co-leadership, have that respect. There was an issue with that in some of the periods of the Black Panther Party where the sisters were not regarded as they should have been. And they stepped up, they made it an issue, they brought it to the front, and they were able to get more of the leadership involved in that issue, in that organization, the Black Panther Party.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that addition, Sister Inez. Let me come over. I'm not sure if there's any additions from Sister Empress on that.
Just briefly, of course, Ashe, and of course today is the end, well, the observance of Baba Kwame Ture, aka also known as Stokely Carmichael. So today is his born day. And with that said, with going to what Sister Inez said, the one thing that I have to also mention in terms of AAPRP, which is of course the African, the organization that Baba Kwame, of course, was the founder of the All African People Revolutionary Party, GC. And one of the things that organization, that group made certain that it put in place, particularly after sisters started saying, wait a minute, we feeling a little way about some things here. And so they were smart enough and diligent enough to put together a women's wing specifically of the AAPRP. And they are very active, particularly on an international level. But I'm just saying that people years ago did recognize the necessity for there to be a clear voice of our women. Not many of the groups and organizations took on the responsibility to actually make that happen. And this is something we're going to talk about a little more in the very near future, because we're bringing forward, of course, the first global movement for women and girls of African descent worldwide. And I can tell you that has been both a nightmare and a blessing. Okay. But that we'll go into that at a whole nother time. But again, I just wanted to give big ups to ancestor Kwame Ture. Today, of course, is his born day observance. And again, in recognition of the women's wing of the AAPRP, they have continued to this day to do the work.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So very important, outstanding. Thank you for that addition, Sister Empress. All right, family. With that being said, let's go to the next clip. All right, let me share my screen. Here we go. Get that started here. Okay.
This is part true. You won't find very many people who are Afro-American who will admit it. But if it is true, why? It is true that there is a sluggishness, intellectual sluggishness, academic sluggishness in almost any Negro community. But this exists only because of the result that has come upon us through years and years of slavery and being held down in this society. And this is why I made reference to the book Crisis in Black and White. This particular man gives a very good scientific analysis as to why this lethargy exists in the Negro community. It is something that has been created by the system. The system is designed
Brother Lumumba, I can't hear anything.
Student lose his interest.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I was hearing it okay.
Yeah, I heard it on my end too.
I don't hear anything. I see the video and I see the the
Wow.
text underneath, but I can't hear you and I can't hear the video either.
Wow, that is weird. Can you hear me now? Check, check. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me, Brother Lamumba?
Yes, yes. Check, check. Can you hear me
I won-
now? Wow, this is crazy.
No, she can't. I wonder if she hit something on her end.
Right. Oh, wow. Check,
That's
check.
crazy.
Um, she might have to come out and come back
When you
in.
started sharing your screen, the sound went out, the audio went out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing it. I've been hearing it okay though.
Right, right. Uh, let me see if I can send a message.
Right.
Let me see.
Okay. Is there anyone on Facebook and on YouTube that maybe can let us know if you're hearing it okay?
Okay, do I need to go out and come back?
Yep, I was just
Check your head. Yes.
Do you want me to go out and come back? Okay, I'll go out.
Okay. All right, there we go. All righty. All right, family. So Sister Inez will be joining us back in a few moments. And again, we want to make sure that you know that a little later on, we're going to do a Facebook Live from the location over at the Cato statue. If we're not able to do something before we close out for this session, we'll definitely do something a little later on. So keep your eyes and ears open because we're going to try to
I
do
hear you
something.
now.
Okay, there we
great,
go.
great.
All right.
Yeah, sometimes we gotta maneuver. This technology at times can get a little crazy. Okay, all right. Let me pull it back, and we should be good to go.
This is part true. You won't find very many people who are Afro-American who will admit it. But if it is true, why? It is true that there is a sluggishness, intellectual sluggishness, academic sluggishness in almost any Negro community. But this exists only because of the result that has come upon us through years and years of slavery and being held down in this society. And this is why I made reference to the book Crisis in Black and White. This particular man gives a very good scientific analysis as to why this lethargy exists in the Negro community. It is something that has been created by the system. The system is designed to make the Negro student lose his interest in education almost before he even gets started in school. And the parents usually, who are also limited where education is concerned and who have run into so many barriers and obstacles despite the fact they had education, sometimes they ask themselves, what's the use? So as long as the system that we are in exists, and this system, the survival of this system depends upon the continued exploitation of the black man in this country. The survival of it depends upon the continued degrading of the black man in this country and the necessity of using us as the whipping boy and the alibi and the excuse. As long as this system exists, then you will find that our people will have the same attitude toward education. And they have a justified, I should say, they have an attitude that can be explained. But at the same time, the burden rests upon the leaders of the Afro-American community to try and instill within the youth especially the desire to further their education, because without it, you're not going anywhere on this earth today.
All right, all right. Let me stop my screen share there. Shay, another poignant point by our ancestor, Malcolm A. Haj Malik El Shabazz. With that being said, let me come to Sister Inez.
I can't hear you, Brother Lamumba. Can
Oh,
you hear
no,
me?
not again. Oh, my goodness. Check, check. Can you hear me now?
I don't hear you.
You
want me to go out again? Okay.
Woo, family. I don't know what's going on, but some dare not call it conspiracy, but you know,
Yeah,
somebody
it's weird. It's definitely weird.
never
But
have any issues with the share
right,
screen previously, but now,
right.
we're having some problems. So that is very interesting to say the least, family. But we're gonna work it out. All right, you got Sister Inez coming back too. Let me see.
Here we are again.
Back.
All
Okay.
right.
Do you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. Great. Great.
Yes. I
Uh,
did hear the video. I heard
okay.
all that Malcolm said, and it's just so true that the system is not designed to teach us our history, our contributions, and we've got to find alternative ways. Got to have alternative institutions. Got to have, particularly now with the platform and all of the ability to log into things and get information, it's easier for us to be able to access. There was a time when you'd have to go to the library, get buttoned up and go put on your coats and go to the library. But now that access is so readily available to us. And it's got to be that we've got to raise our consciousness, turn off the boob tube, and the what are those things, the reality shows and
Mm.
all of that
Mm-hmm.
is really not not elevating us, and oftentimes not portraying us in a positive light either.
Say.
So, but we have the ability with all of the technology that's in our hands, in the palm of our hands, to be able to reach out, to search, to go on the internet, to go to YouTube and get a variety of information sources from different sources, and to be able to do your own analysis. And it's difficult. We've got to train ourselves to think, because the
Mm.
education system does not train you to be critical. It does not train you to really do logical analysis. They feed you information, they give you a lot of facts. They don't want you to question it or challenge it. They want you to just regurgitate back to them what they have said and what's in the book, which is, of course, very limited. So, yes, we've got to find alternate ways of getting the information and being able to join organizations
Mm.
that will give us an opportunity to have a sounding board and to be able to have people feedback, give us feedback on what it is that we're interpreting, so that we don't go too far afield of what is the intended message, and how we can work together collaboratively to build, to take this common understanding and common knowledge and go out and elevate other people and get them on board with the objectives of the different organizations that we have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excellent points. Much appreciated for that addition, Sister Inez. And let me come over to Sister Empress for any additions before we move to the next clip.
Okay, so Sister Inez again hit it right on the nose. And the other thing that connects right to that, and again, in the spirit of Baba Kwame Ture, one of the things that he often spoke of was that you don't have to join our organization,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the organizations that are here, whatever, but join something.
Right.
Join something. He stressed that. So this conversation is just so right on point. So yeah, just wanted to add that in.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right, thank
And
you.
as Sister Empress has emphasized, today being the born day, as she presents it, I would encourage everyone to get the book Black Power. Read it. It's,
Oh
of course,
yeah.
it's a great book. It's
Yes.
not very lengthy, but it's powerful. And it talks about the very thing that we're talking about, how the system has tried to discredit us and not allow us to have ready access to our history, but how it's incumbent on us to be able to get our minds to the point where we're thinking about how we can come together as a collective. Particularly, he talks about that in chapter 2, how we can come together and join organizations and move forward as we talk about fighting for our liberation. Oh, I lost you again.
Oh no, that was me this time.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Most
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No, yeah, that was
Okay.
me. I forgot the mic.
Oh, all right.
All
So
right.
I was saying that on our Saturday program for New Day, we had Baba Bambozi Shango with us, who was, of course, a very, very close, not just brother, but, they work closely together in terms of struggle. So he talked to us about Baba Kwame. And it's interesting because, sometimes when you ask people, particularly in this kind of time period when you hear Black Power, right? If you ask them, well, do you know where that came from? How that, began to be like not just a motto, but, something that people really, really embraced. And in many cases, they don't know. So you're again right on point, Sister Withrick, letting people know they need to go to the source of things in order to really get some of the right. I had shared with folk on Saturday that my experience with Baba Kwame was, and it was really just a few months prior to him becoming an ancestor, but when we met, when we had a chance to sit and talk, because he was unfortunately, and he said it was the government that gave him cancer, y'all. So I'm just saying, this is what he said. But he was in a lot of pain, and I was sharing with our family on Saturday that even though he was in a lot of pain, when I talked with him just a few months before he made transition, a few weeks after we spoke, he was at the hospital. And when I heard he was at the hospital, I was, alarmed that, oh gosh, but it just so happened he was at the hospital as a part of a protest. Oh. The workers, the hospital workers were on strike or doing something like that, and he went to join them, right? So I'm saying that to say, this is the kind of people, the kind of examples that some of us were able to literally see. And we, again, encourage some of you, if not all of you, to really, do more research because it will strengthen you. It'll definitely strengthen you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that addition, Sister Empress and Sister Inez. Okay, with that being said, let me go to my next clip. And this time, family, I think I'm gonna try to trick the system because I think I'm just gonna leave it. If I have an issue this time, I'm just gonna leave it on the share screen and just go to the next video as opposed to coming on and off the share screen. And that way, we should be able to keep the continuity. All right, so I'm just thinking as I'm going along. All right, so let me go to my next clip. And again, family, the importance of critical and analytical thinking.
That's
all right. Let me share my next clip. Okay, check. Can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great.
Yes.
Great. All right. So let me share. Let me get it rolling.
If white immigrants can come to this country 50 years ago with nickels and dimes and no education, and come here and pool their little nickels and dimes and no education, and set up little stores, develop these stores into larger stores, develop this into an industry which creates job opportunities for whites. Since Lincoln was supposed to have freed the black man 100 years ago, and today the black man, according to the government economist, has spending power of $20 billion per year. We feel that with the black man spending $20 billion a year, not setting up any businesses, not creating any industry, not creating any job opportunities for his own kind, he's not in a moral position to point the finger today at the white man and tell the white man that he's discriminating against him for not giving him a job in factories that he himself set up. If the black man has $20 billion, and these so-called Negro leaders are such geniuses that they can integrate white restaurants and integrate white factories and force themselves into that which the white man has set up, they should use this same ingenuity to show the black people how to pool our wealth and set up something of our own. And then we won't have to force our way into his anymore. One more thing I would like to point out, concerning what he said about 125th Street. We don't waste our time on 125th Street, but you can reach more people in the street who want to change than you can in the bourgeoisie society, the bourgeoisie church, and the bourgeoisie circles. Our program is directed toward the man in the street. So we spend our time in the street, and what we do with that man, instead of trying to change the white man in your mind and make you accept us, we change the mind of the black man and make him accept himself. And as soon as he accepts himself, he'll solve his own problem. He won't be trying to force himself into your factory and into your bedroom and into your kitchen.
See this scratch?
All right, all right. All right, family. Let me come back. And I'm just going to leave that. Let me see. Let me change the orientation. Let me just get a little creative orientation. Let me change it to here. Nope, that's not it. All right, but let me come back to Sister Inez for input on that.
So that's an interesting clip. Malcolm talking about the collective wealth of the Black nation and our lack of having institutions and creating jobs amongst our people. And yes, others have come, immigrants have come, and they've been able to move into their communities and establish themselves, and then also infiltrate into our communities and take our money and take it out of the community. That's true. But also remember now, they were given grants. They were able to qualify for federal money. They were able to get paid to not grow crops. And there were other kinds of programs that advanced what it was that they were able to do based on grant money and federal money that was just given to them. And when we talk about creating our own, we have a model of that when we look at the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And he did build factories. He had the doll factory, and they did have hotels, and they did have restaurants, and they did have the nurses units, and they did have the Black Star Line. So when we talk about what it is that we need to do for self and how we need to embrace our skills and create opportunities for ourselves, we have an example of that being done successfully by the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. So much so that, as I had alluded to earlier, the government saw him as a threat. The government saw him as a threat. And when the government sees you as a threat, particularly a Black man, you become a target. And they attacked him, they character assassinated him, and they charged him with mail fraud for having people invest and get shares in the Black Star Line. They said he defrauded people. Well, venture capitalists are today asking people to send money because this is a great project, a great opportunity. So the same thing that is now popular was at that time criminalized for him. And he was found guilty and sent to jail. But we do have the model in Marcus Garvey, the greatest mass organizer before and since. We're talking about all of the technology we have, the millions of people that he was organizing worldwide. So that's the objective, for us to come together collectively and pool our money and have it turn over 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in our community before it goes out into other communities.
Absolutely, absolutely. Excellent. All right. With that being said, let me come over to Sister Empress for any additions.
So, for me, it's very interesting because what Brother Malcolm talked about obviously was at least 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like he's talking about it right now.
That part.
How about that? So again, we have to really kind of look at this thing in a more holistic manner. And what I mean by that is it appears there are cycles, and,
Mhm.
and this stuff kind of repeats itself every 25, 35 years, whatever. And so at some point we have to realize that this stuff is going to continue. We need to be prepared, knowing that certain things are going to continue. For example, I remember like in the 60s, or no, not even six. Well, maybe it was the 60s. Anyway, we used to see the sisters with what they call hot pants, right? These real shorts. Right? Remember that, sister? Yeah, I remember the
I
movies
know.
and
Yes,
stuff.
yes, yes.
I remember the movies. And so now, what are we seeing today?
Mm.
If you in the urban city, I'm gonna tell you what you're seeing. Okay, you're seeing a lot of behind.
A lot of poom poom.
All right, I just got to say it because I'm like, wow, what did I like jump into a time warp or something? Because
Mhm.
this is interesting. So I digress. So my point is, here we are again at a time where we're seeing other people come into our communities
Mhm.
and get our money, and we're
Yeah.
giving it to them. And
Mhm.
it's so bad now in certain black communities that I've been in, that our people are literally calling other people mommy and poppy.
Mm.
How you calling somebody that don't look anything like you, don't care nothing about, and you calling her mommy? Oh, anyway. I mean, that just shows we got some real issues going on now, because we ain't never did that one. Anyway, so again, how many times do we have to keep repeating this cycle whereby we actually are owning and operating our own stuff? Does the next generation have to go through this again, and the next one after that? And I'm saying that to say that somehow the ball got dropped. Folk got to fess up and realize that, yep, it did, and we got to pick it up and now carry this thing for a touchdown or touchdowns, because again, these cycles keep continuing. Gentrification in most cities is off the hook.
Thing that
You see, and so this is only going to get worse and worse and worse. We have to now, and again, there's a call out now, not to shop with the Asian stores and all of that. And folks might, more folks will do that for a minute, because we're into the kind of hype stuff, right? So what we're proposing, and Sister Inez, of course, is very familiar with what I'm getting ready to say. We're making certain that we adhere to history, our history. So for November the 2nd, y'all please mark this on your calendar and tell other people we're calling for a National Day of Abstinence or Absence. This day is more than 50 years in existence.
Right.
It's really called it's called Black Solidarity Day.
Right.
But we want to nationalize it now. Now, again, I didn't make it up. Go look up Black Solidarity Day.
Right.
So now, what we're saying to our people is, can you imagine if we all agree just for one day? Now, I'm not saying don't do the other stuff that folks are doing, by all means, but can we collectively, with intent, for one day, November the 2nd, don't go to school, don't go to work, don't spend any money? Because that is what Dr. Carlos Russell, asked for folks to do, and they did it, right? They did it. And in New York, there are certain segments in New York that still do it.
Yes.
But I'm saying let's honor our ancestors with real action. National Black Solidarity Day, y'all. Now, this is about education, political education for liberation. Here's a good step. All right. If folks can't do that for one day, how you going to talk about being free for real at any other time when you can't be disciplined enough not to spend your money with somebody else for one freaking day? I yield.
I say.
That's so important. And I just want to highlight the fact that here in New York, the UNIA does have a continuation of being able to provide the food sources for our people at their own establishment. And I would encourage, I don't have it in front of me, but I would encourage people to look that up and to be able to go and be supportive and purchase your groceries there. Make it an effort, a concentrated effort to do that. Shop amongst ourselves, support one another, support one another.
Ashe, indeed. All right, and there are also a few Black buying indexes, and we're also working on one of our own as well. So we'll be building on these initiatives at the same time, and definitely making sure that we can make this a continual practice instead of a one-off. All right, make this just part of our newly developing or reignition of our culture. All right, just to make this a norm as opposed to a reactionary type of thing.
Right.
I did see some, or I have seen some continuation with the initial boycott of the Asian stores and things of that nature. But again, if we can move away from just the boycott and really think about actively and collectively being able to support our own and build up our own institutions and build up our own economical infrastructures. All right. So
And in that regard, Brother Lamuma, I just want to remind people that here in New York, this 3rd, 4th, and 5th, July 3rd, July 4th, and July 5th will be the 55th occasion of the International African Festival, International African Arts Festival. And it's a huge event. It was started by those persons who started the East back in 55 years ago. And they now it's a cultural event. They have vendors, they have artists, they have musicians, they have dance troupes, they have drummers, they have delicious food, and you can come. It's free of charge. They ask you to make a donation. You can come. And really, I asked Brother Segun Shabaka, who's the coordinator, how would he describe it? He said, it's an African village. And truly, that's the best definition of what it is. So if you're in the New York City area, we invite you to stop by and be supportive. If you've never been, you're going to be greatly impressed and getting a piece of the motherland right here in Brooklyn. It's at Lincoln Park.
This is
bounded by Eastern Parkway, East New York Avenue, Rochester, and Buffalo. So those are the 4 blocks that bound the park, the boundaries of the park. And it begins, I believe, at 12 noon each day till about 9 in the evening. Come, ladies, my sisters, you're going to get your outfits, you're going to get your fabric, you're going to get your jewelry, you're going to get your oils, you're going to get your shea butter, all of that. Books that are there, artisans who work in leather bags, leather jewelry. You will, if you've never been, you're going to love it.
Excellent, outstanding. Thank you for that addition. All right, so let me come to my next clip. All right, hopefully everything continues to play smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It will.
Urgent warning for anyone with investment in the stock market. The government has a new proposal that will give a giant leg up to corporate.
All right, let me bring it back, family. Hopefully you all can still see me, hear me. All right, let me come to my next clip. All right.
1 in Harlem. Going to you.
Okay, can you all hear and see the clip?
I hear it.
We can hear it, but we can't see anything.
Okay, right. All right, I got to switch the screen orientation. Yep, thank you for that. Okay, should be there now.
Okay,
all right, great. Okay, let me get it rolling.
War 1 in Harlem. I'm going to use the tool that you can use new legislation and change the conditions that our people face in the South. So instead of legislation, in my opinion, it takes education. The whites have to be re-educated, so that the racism that they have in their heart can be eliminated, and our people have to be re-educated, so that we will know how to do something for ourselves instead of waiting for others to do it for us all the time. Well, how will that re-education be thought about? Well, just as in World War II, this country could use its news media to propagandize and make the whole American public love the Germans and the Japanese, rather love the Russians and the Chinese, and hate the Germans and the Japanese. And then after the war, they changed it and made the American public love the Germans and love the Japanese, hate the Russians and hate the Chinese, which shows that they can make the American public love whom they will and hate whom they will. And that same process can be used to re-educate the American public and show white people how to love black people and show black people how to do something to stand on our own feet and solve our own problems. The black man doesn't have to be taught to love the white man. The white man has to be taught to love the black man.
At least, do you think the Civil Rights Bill, when it's passed, is a sign of better times for Negroes in this country?
No. As I said before, the legislation won't solve our problems. New York City has all of the laws. It has FETC. And still there's job discrimination in this city. Laws doesn't solve, that type of law doesn't solve the problem. And it's the same with education. It's the same with the segregated educational system. It exists here the same as it exists in the South. Now, the law here is on the side of an integrated school system, but you still don't have an integrated school system.
What do you think of Senator Goldwater's stand on the Civil Rights Bill?
Well, he's probably being more honest than the other politicians are. Even though his stand is the wrong stand, and it's an unjust stand, still he's being more honest than the other white politicians are. I don't think that in his heart, Lyndon B. Johnson's stand is any different from Goldwater's stand. Lyndon B. Johnson is taking a stand that is for political expediency. And it's the same with all of the so-called liberal element. It's political expediency, politics. As the winter of...
All right. Let me come back to you all. Okay, let me switch. All right, family. So, again, poignant points from our brother, ancestor, Malcolm El Haj Malik El Shabazz. All right. With that, let me come back over to Sister Inez for commentary. What's your thoughts on education over legislation? I know you touched on it briefly at the beginning, so it's very impromptu,
As a comment that I made a little earlier, we realize that we are demanding and fighting and getting the legislation that we need to be able to demand that we get the resources and have the programs established that would be beneficial to our community. But you can't legislate our liberation. Can't legislate our liberation. We use the legislation to get the resources, but we got to make sure that we do the work. We be in the streets. We organize. We raise the issues. We raise people's consciousness to make sure that we get the civil rights that we are entitled, the human rights that we are entitled to. And he also spoke about the education piece. There was in 1968, the Ocean Hill-Brownsville project in Ocean Hill-Brownsville section of Brooklyn, which said that the Black community wanted to be able to determine the curriculum for their students, the personnel that would be in the classroom and running the school system, as well as the superintendent. And it was a project, it's called Ocean Hill-Brownsville Project for community control. And it existed for about maybe 2 years, 3 years. And again, it was undermined. The propaganda machine came up and, oh no, this is anti, whatever group you wanted to put in that. But it's what the objective is again, what Kwame Ture says in his book. We have to control the resources in our community. The Black community has got to control the resources in our community, the social programs in our community, and the economy in our community. And that's certainly what we need to do and struggle for. It's a struggle, but we have to struggle for that.
Ashe, Ashe. Thank you for that addition, Sister Inez. All right. Any additions on that, Sister Empress? Okay, she might be not.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Nope, here I am. So, again, this is just such a wonderful conversation. I'm loving it. And the thing I want to add is that, this is also the 60th year commemoration of the first Black student union being formed in California. And when Sister Inez mentioned the fact that, the group at some point was looking to, have their own curriculum and so forth and so on. Just as a sidebar, what really was instrumental in those things happening was that in 1960 and thereabouts, you had students that were doing incredible things. And of course, some of you know about the sit-ins in terms of the lunch counters, and also the freedom rides and so forth. Well, again, in California, the first Black student union was formed, and they literally a year and a half later took over the entire campus, shut it down. And as a result, and the whole demand was that there be more Black instructors, that there also be, more, Black studies. And the students literally created their own curriculum, or the curriculum that became the first Black Studies curriculum. That was done by students, right? And so, again, we have this history, and for whatever reason, our people are not embracing it. And, we just gotta do better. So, big ups.
I say. Thank you for that addition, Sister Empress. All right, so very important, family. And one of the main reasons why we want to hold this space and be able to pass on this history, information, experience, and wisdom with some of the individuals, such as Sister Inez, and with our Black, as well as Brother Barron, with our previous classes, with Black Poli Sci 101. All right. So this is a must. This is imperative, family. And we began to take some of these lessons and make sure that they're implemented and continue. Make sure there's a continuum of these things, so we don't keep stopping and starting, and being able to impart upon our children these things and our children's children, so that this continuum continues through the millennium. All right. So let me come to actually my last clip for this evening. It's very brief, but and I just want to get the perspective and interpretation on this last quote from the brother minister, our shining Black Prince ancestor, Malcolm El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Okay, so let me bring that in really quickly. Hold on one second. Let me share my screen properly. I think the audio is coming through, so let me go and share. I believe that's here. Okay. All right, so let me get it started, family, and let's go.
Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today.
All right, family, there you have it. One of the most widely shared quotes from our brother ancestor Malcolm El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. All right. Let me stop. Let me come back. I'm not going to stop the screen share because I've learned my lesson. Let me come back over and go to our sister Inez for weigh in on this quote. What does this quote mean to you, Sister Inez?
To me, it's very powerful.
Mm.
Education exists in so many forms. The formal education, where you got to register with the Board of Education and sit in the classroom 180 days or whatever, and complete the tests and all of that. That's the formal education. That's important. There's also the informal education, what we learn in our homes, in our communities, in our organizations, in the streets, yes, and how we tell our story to our children. We have to tell our own story. We have to let our children know that they're great, they have a great history. We have to let our children know that, quote, Black English is a part of our culture, and we use Black English in certain situations, and in other situations, we want to use perhaps the Europeanized so called standard English. Education is important to know the difference, how to be able to read situations, how to fight regardless of what the oppression might be, to stand with integrity and not fall to your knees because of some kinds of threat on you. That takes a certain kind of commitment, a certain knowledge. We've got to also get our propaganda machine better organized, getting the word out on what we're doing as individuals, what we're doing as a part of an organization, giving people an alternative to mainstream media. Mainstream media is controlled by the corporate world, it's controlled by the billionaires, it's controlled by the oligarchy. And if we don't have another source to which we are going to get our information, other people who are giving us their interpretation from a scholarly, holistic point of view as to what's going on, we're going to have one of those blinders and just go with the okey doke and the rubber stamp. And so we've got to get an education that's well rounded, that's, yes, the traditional models of what's being taught, but we've got to teach for the future. There's so much more that's going to be even in the next 5 years in terms of employment that we're not even thinking about now, that if you don't have the skills, if you don't have the experience, if you don't have the ability to analyze it and to master it, you're going to be left behind. So we've got to keep our eyes, our ears open, and we've got to help one another. We've got to educate other people, because we are on a continuum, we're on a spectrum. No one knows everything. And people are at different levels of their development, and we've got to help them to come to an understanding of who we are as a people and what the struggle is for us, because we're not yet free. You know, there's still slavery. The Constitution says slavery exists except for as a punishment as a crime. We still have slavery and we're still not free. And we've got to get our people's minds to understand that, and understand that it starts from the ground up, it starts from the grassroots, to percolate, say, listen, what we see is not what's in our best interest and we need to change it. You know, Martin Luther King had a quote, this American system is not for the masses of our people, and it's going to take a radical change for us to be able to make it work. A radical change for us to make it. That's not his quote. I paraphrased it, but look it up. You'll find it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that addition. I'm about to come over to Sister Empress, but let me add in really quickly two things. One is it was so powerful, not the clip I just played, but the clip right before that. That scene was just so striking.
Yeah.
Because seeing our brother,
right.
Brother ancestor El Haj Malik El Shabazz sitting and having an audience of children surrounding him while he was holding court and actually giving a class right there in the heart of Harlem All right. And that is just another aspect, as you were saying, as far as different elements of education.
Right.
They were being educated right there on the spot, on the streets, and probably unbeknownst to them, you know. And if that information wasn't hitting them consciously, they still had the privy to be able to be there on site, and for that information to hit them subconsciously, for them to be able to reflect on that in later years and say, wow, I was sitting
I was
with,
right there.
I was there. I was there when he said it. You know what I mean? So very powerful. The last thing I want to add on that is with my father, right? And so he imparted something into me very early, and he changed the concept of homework, right? And so he said, what you get from school, that's schoolwork. What I'm giving you, that's homework. So not only did I had to, you know, get to whatever the curriculum was or the lessons was from school, I also had a whole nother lesson plan that was implemented at home, which is what he called homework. All right. So shout out to Baba. All right. So with that being said, let me come over to Sister Empress for any additions on that.
Okay, thank you, Brother Lumumba. So in one of the earlier clips, El Haj Miguel Chavez, Prince Malcolm X, said something about the bourgeoisie. So, so I want to kind of go back to that for a moment and connect that to this, what we're talking about right now. And it is that, okay, so yes, education is so very, very important. Brother Malcolm said it, we're saying it, others have said it. But I think also what we now must do is make certain that we keep in mind, Carter G. Woodson, who made it very clear the miseducation of the Negro. You see, so what has happened over the years, particularly, well, we already know what happens in the primary stuff. I mean, we go into that another time, knowing how that is actually structured and why. But also in the so-called higher education realms, to really know and understand, and this is why mothers, again, for me, is really essential in this process, because we encourage our children to get educated, but oftentimes we don't encourage them to do that that's going to help us.
Right.
Okay. So on one hand, we're saying, yes, get your education, get the skills and all of that. But the service, who? You see, who's going to benefit from that training, those skills? Now, of course, you will, or the person will, because they'll get, a good job. But in the bigger scheme of things, who's going to really benefit the most from that education, particularly so-called higher education? So I'm saying, again, we got to take this to the next level. And the next level is, yes, get your education. We're looking at excellence, etc. But some part of that, you need to make certain that is going back to our people, to our communities. And see, this is the message and the information that's not really being taught and really emphasized the way that it needs to be. Because a lot of these students, they go to school, they get all this information, they get all this education, but look at our communities. Look at our communities. So we got to look at this thing for real. So again, it's been enough time for us to know now we got to do better in making certain that we go from education to edification, right? And also making certain that we alleviate some of the indoctrination.
Right.
Okay?
I say excellent points. And so with that, it's education for empowerment, right? Making sure we're not educated fools.
Right.
Okay. And as Sister Inez put it, education for Black liberation. Okay, family. All right, with that, I know I said that was my last clip, but I got one more. So let me play this last clip and get some feedback on that. We'll come back to Sister Empress to reiterate the question that she asked at the top of the hour. and get ready for final thoughts and closing remarks. And if there's well, first, if there's any, open up the floor. If there's any questions or comments, and then we're going to come in for final thoughts and closing remarks for this evening. All right, and so let me come back and yeah, let me share and let's get this last clip underway. Okay, let me switch my orientation. It should be here. Nope, that's not it. It should be here then. There it is. Okay. And so I think this goes back into, it's so timely and on point how this conversation just was so in sync and succinct to everything that everyone was talking about, and everything just flew because I didn't know that Sister Empress was going to come with that, and I already had this clip queued up. All right, so let me come here and let's get this last clip rolled out.
Springtime in the valley.
Oh, didn't know it was music attached to that. Okay, so here we have it here, family. Let me just pause it on that note real quick. A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. All right, family. So with that being said, I want to bring that to Sister Inez. We hear a lot of the times, or presently, when people are saying, or our youth are saying, more specifically, I'm standing on business. And this whole rhetoric that we hearing today. And a lot of times, my question is, what business? Whose business are you standing on? So when our brother ancestor, our shining black prince, Malcolm L. has Malik El Shabazz says, a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. Can we go more in depth to what it is that he's referring to? What exactly are we supposed to be? Could we be standing for? All right, let me bring that to Sister Inez.
I think that Mal.
Uh-oh. We lost your you cut off there. Your screen might have timed out. So you might have to wake your screen back up, Sister Inez. All right. I'm not sure if you can hear me. But okay. Hopefully she will be able to come back in any minute now. All right. Let me come to Sister Empress in the interim. Hopefully, we'll have. Okay, she's probably going to come back, leave out and come back in. All right. So let me come over to Sister Empress really quickly for her commentary on this quote from our ancestor.
Okay, Brother Lou, I'm kind of in a noisy place, but I'll try to answer as best as I can, and hopefully you won't hear the noise a lot.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. We got Sister Inez coming back. All right, let me come back to her and then bring you back. All right.
Hi.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I think that what Malcolm's talking about here is having a value system. What is important for you? What is it? What is the purpose of your being? What's the essence of what it is that you hold of importance? How are you prioritizing all of the things that are part of our everyday existence? How are you understanding that what you are doing is important for our people to be able to move forward more than you as an individual? How are we going to take the talents and the skills of a person to make them contribute that to have a better contribution? As I said, Dr. Martin Luther King said, we've got to make sure that we don't perpetuate the system. We've got to change it. So if you're becoming an entrepreneur in whatever area and arena that you're in, and you're just perpetuating what we already have, we're not moving forward. Our people are not moving forward. So I think it's dependent upon what value systems you embrace and what you're putting forward, and how that is going to help our people advance and get the liberation that we're fighting for, the liberation that we're entitled to.
I say, absolutely. Thank you for that addition, Sister Inez. All right. Um, very, very, very important. And one of the things that I was looking at is how do we define these things a little bit better? And so when I make that statement, I say um, I'm standing on ancestral business. Okay, so we have to be very specific and what it is that we're talking about, what it is that we're describing, what it is that we're prescribing to. All right. And so I think one of the key elements of what Sister Inez was, just conveyed was an aspect, an element of culture, family,
Mm-hmm.
of culture. What is our culture? And, who determines that culture, right? And it should be based on what? History and legacy, family,
Mm.
right? So pulling on the history and legacy of our great people, that is the dictation of what our culture is and should be, not what the mainstream says, not what we're programmed to believe. Looking at historical context and those things that it have helped us continue to elevate, continue to be enlightened, continue to be empowered. All right, so we can continue to evolve, family. All right, so those are some of the things we have to look at fundamentally and structurally, okay, when we're talking about what it is that we're standing on and what it is that we're standing for. All right, with that being said, let me come over. I'm not sure if we're in a better location. Let me come and see if I come over to Sister Empress. And I thank you once again for that addition, Sister Ahmed.
So give me 5 more minutes, and I will be in a quieter space.
All right, no problem.
All right,
No
thank
problem.
you.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so with that being said, let me see if I can open up the floor if
Mm-hmm.
there's any questions or comments from our listening audience, and see if we can get some additions there. Then there was some things that was coming through in the comments. I was posting those things on the screen. So shout out to our listening audience members who are able to chime in and be able to tap in to the program this evening and give some commentary. All right. So with that, I want to say shout out to one of our top contributors, Sister Shirley Baker. All right. Sister Mary, Brother Pollinator. All right. Sister J. Renee, Sister Kim. All right. Tapping in with us for this evening for the Black Poli Sci 101. All right. And let me see if I can jump over to Facebook really quickly to see if there's any comment there. All right. See if we have any comments there. And there is an opportunity for folks who come in on StreamYard, okay, to be able to uh, engage directly with Sister Inez, all right, and join us here on the stage. All right, that link was shared out. I'm gonna see if I can share it out once again and put that in the comments. And folks might be able to copy and paste that in order to come in and join us. I'm not seeing anything on Facebook. All right, so let me see if I can. Let me see if I can share that link out really quickly on on our comment section. All right, family. With
And
that
while
being
you're doing
said, Sister Inez, is there anything that you wanted to? Mhm. Yes, go ahead, Sister Empress. Well, I was
oh,
going
I'm
to say if
sorry.
there's anything that you would like to expound on, any of the subject matter. Yeah, go ahead, Sister Empress.
Yeah, I was just going to say while I'm in the quiet places, I'm in transit. I'm getting ready to head back over to the to the all night rally, all night speak out. But anyway, so again, this has been a wonderful session. Again, what yesterday we began to make the announcement during Ubuntu session, and we want to reiterate it tonight for those who do not know. So, with this being a day of recognition for Baba Kwame Ture, as well as, again, the continual fight to free Mumia, one of the things that we're talking about is human rights violations. And so, of course, there's a lot of different conversations now about that. And so yesterday, what we began to launch here in Philly, and we're looking to take it nationwide, but we're going to kick it off in Philly because this is these places that these people say this is their birthplace, home of the nation and all of that. Well, there is a building here in Philly that we've been going after for about 10 years, and it keeps changing hands in terms of the council person. Well, now we're pretty certain that council person that has it now is going to be there for at least another 2 years, and then they say he's going to be retiring. But either way, we're going to put it in place where we put our bid in for that building. And it's a library that's been sitting for over 25 years vacant. Now, the difference is, Sister Inez, whereas before, we were looking at, some of the community development, urban development or whatever, we're changing that whole approach. And it wasn't really our major approach anyway, but now, with the 123 countries that have agreed that the transatlantic slave trade is, in fact, the gravest crime against humanity, what we're saying is we want the city of Philadelphia to begin to do an act of good faith. They have a committee together now that they're examining reparations. Well, while they're figuring that all out, we already have a plan. And one of the plan is to get the properties that the city owns, some of these properties, as a part of repair. So we have now cited the location that is now known as the Georges Institute, which is a library. We want it now for us, our community, the Black community, as a form of repair and restoration. And we want to call it the Harriet Tubman Library. Justice and Freedom Library. Okay, and so we wanted to put that out there to y'all today because, again, we're going to keep continuing to talk about repair and reparations, but there has to be some processes. There have to be some steps. So this institution that we're talking about will also service us in healing. What are we talking about when we say epigenetics? How are we going to address generation upon generation of violence and abuse that's been inflicted upon us? Because what I'm now learning is, and we're going to show some of the clips of what I'm talking about a little at another time, but we have our own people blaming us for all of the chaos and the madness that's going on in our communities. They're blaming us and literally distracting and taking away from whence it comes. See, for me, that's an illness. You see, that is a psychosis. So knowing that kind of behavior or thought process is going to increase, we better start putting some stuff in place to neutralize or to at least lessen some of that kind of assertion. So I just wanted to use that as a sidebar in terms of education or liberation.
Education. Sounds like you're going to have your own Schomburg Library Center there. Center, meeting place, and all of the artifacts. That's wonderful. Great idea.
All right. And also, if you wanted to reiterate that question that you asked at the top of the hour for Sister Inez.
Oh, yeah, because again, as we proceed at some point, and again, we know we have to work within what we have. So, we're not trying to tell folk we're not doing that. That's why we have Sister Inez and have Brother Charles, because they showed us what we can do. Oh, I'm sorry. They showed us what we can do. There's some noise on. Hold on.
Live and direct, we in the streets, family. We outside, okay? So reporting live from the streets of Philadelphia, Sister Empress, all right? So she'll be tapping back in shortly and asking that last question as it pertains to some of the political makeup and how we can move forward with, some other aspects of political engagement. All right. So
okay. I'm back. So
All right.
very quickly, what I wanted to ask Sister Inez was her thoughts and views about how to move forward so that we can have some independent political parties, and if not parties per se, at least create what the great Saint Fannie Lou Hamer showed us, and that was the Freedom Party within these machineries now until we get to where we need to get to.
I certainly believe that that's what we need to move towards. We need to be able to not be limited to the boundaries that are set by the Republican and the Democratic Party. They're two of the same right and left wings of the same bird, and they do not have our interests at heart. So we've got to be able to identify what we believe is the most effective input by having the local entities and getting those seats of local power. The smallest political entity in our city is the assembly district. So you can look at the assembly district, you can look at the state senate, if that's the two divisions that you have. You can look at the city council or the aldermen, whatever the term is that's used, and identify what is the targeted position that we're aiming for. What is the targeted position we're aiming for? And then who has demonstrated a commitment, an integrity, the intelligence, and the fire, and the ability to mobilize people, who has demonstrated a history of having been involved in issues in the community, who's demonstrated that that's what they've done, and who's committed to moving forward on behalf of the people, not their own interests. So I think that that's what we can look at, looking at local seats of power, getting the person that we believe will continue to represent the community once they get that seat, and move forward. And again, as we've said already, the legislation is an important part. It's a part that we're entitled to, but certainly it's going to take more than the legislation to get the movement going and being successful as we fight for Black liberation.
Ashe. All right. Thank you for that addition, Sister Inez and Sister Empress. All right. So with that being said, family, wonderful discourse, conversation, build, etc. for this evening, and much appreciated to Sister Inez for joining us.
Thank you.
And able to break down some of this political applications for today. All right, much appreciated. With that being said, I'm going to come to final thoughts and closing remarks. Let me come to Sister Empress first. Final thoughts and closing remarks, and then I'll come.
I'm sorry, Brother Moon. I'm in another. I'm on a train, so
Okay.
I don't want to give y'all that distraction.
All right, no problem. All right, give thanks. All right, with that being said, let me come over to Sister Inez for final thoughts and closing remarks.
Thank you. Just want to say once again, thank you for inviting me to participate in this exchange, and say that this is a great time to be alive, to be involved, and to make your contribution towards moving our people forward, towards achieving the liberation, towards getting that independent party that is operating on behalf of Black people and our interests and our moving forward. We've got to be radical, we've got to be committed, and we're able to do all of that. We've got to help raise the consciousness of others. We've got to make sure that we push the propaganda and that we tell our own story. And that story goes back to the beginning of time when we were in Africa, and bringing it forward to now, and to the vision that we have for our people moving forward.
Ashe. All right, family. And with that being said, we're going to close out for this evening. Thank you so much once again. So our Sister Inez Barron.
Thank you.
Wonderful discourse and information that was shared this evening. All right, with that being said, we're going to close out for this evening. And of course, I want to give thanks first and foremost to the Most High, Creator, Creatress. Give thanks to the ancestors and the elders, those who have shed blood, sweat, and tears and paved the way to allow us to be here today. I want to thank you all, those who are listening in currently, those who are listening on in the future. Thank you for your time, energy, and effort, dedication, determination, and discipline. All right. Let's do a little bit more than be woke. Let's make sure we're active and that we're involved. All right. With our own liberation. All right. This is, once again, Black Poli Sci 101. Liberation for Black, education for Black liberation, with our sister Inez Barron. Again, with co-host for this evening, Sister Empress Chi. I'm your brother Lumumba Uncaged. Want to say, and I just bid you all truth, justice, peace, love, freedom, power, prosperity, protection, patience, and divinely principled purpose. I want to say, let us continue to strategize, organize, and mobilize. And finally, family, Pamoja Tuta Shinda, which means together we will win. All right. Let me just give you some closing information. For additional information, and for any program initiative that we might be having, you can contact us at nationalmwm@aol.com. Again, that's nationalmwm@aol.com. You can also email powerman2282@gmail.com. That's powerman2282@gmail.com. You can also text 267-636-3802. That number again is 267-636-3802. Let me come back to Sister Inez. I'm not sure if there's any thing that you would like to share as far as folks being able to get in contact with you further, or any information you would like to share, any upcoming initiatives or programs.
Thank you. I just want to remind people once again, the International African Arts Festival will begin July 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Brooklyn at at Lincoln Terrace Park in Brooklyn. And that Charles and I do have a podcast that we do each Thursday on Black Power Media Reloaded. And we invite you to be a part of that. It's called Speaking Truth to Power. No, it's called Operation Power. And on Friday, that program is from 7 to 8, and there's archives if you want to see any of our previous programs. And on Fridays, we do a radio program on WBAI 99.5, Fridays at 5 o'clock. So we invite you to tune in and share your ideas with us.
All right, excellent. Much appreciated. Good, thanks for that. All right, family, just to reiterate really quickly, again, also, there is a 24-hour marathon, Free Mumia Abu Jamal, immediately. All right, that's happening at the Cato statue here in Philadelphia, PA, right at City Hall. All right, so that'll be going on, I believe, until tomorrow at 12 noon. All right, so there's a 24-hour Free Mumia marathon activation and demonstration that is happening now. All right. And also you can follow up with us tomorrow for our regular edition of the Ethereal Journey podcast, which is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that, we're going to close out for this evening. Thank you once again for joining us for this special edition of Black Poli Sci 101, Education for Black Liberation. All right. Until next time, peace, power, and prosperity, family.